Uh, if you whenever time you have a problem, you screenshot and you send us a message, that will allow Nell or Katie or whoever to begin to see where the problem took place, to know, like, is it user error or is there something with the system? But it's hard for us to pinpoint. We are like debugging, but it's hard for us to figure out those bugs because we can't see what you see, and it's hard for us to recreate the issues. If you have any trouble submitting, like uploading, you can always send it to us, like direct message through the system or an email, right? So don't let that be a hindrance. Just get it to us and but first send us, like I said, a screenshot of the error of whatever else is going on. Did you want to add anything else to that, Katie?
I don't. Yeah, and even, Lisa just said, I'm having a hard time knowing when something's done. We appreciate that all business is an iterative process, and that's okay, and that's a good thing. You should always be iterating. But it is important for us to see where you're at and what you're doing. So if you could please try to get those in by the next class. So if it's a Wednesday, have it in by the Monday. If it's a Monday, have it in by the Wednesday. That would be really helpful, just especially so we can know how to pace ourselves with you. So please, please, please don't hold on to your assignments. Even if they're just the beginning stages, it's good for us to see it. So that's all I got on that one.
Because you guys not submitting it to me means you're completely lost, have no clue what to do, and so therefore can't submit anything. And so then because everything builds on itself, I'm like, oh no, we can't learn new material if you didn't get the material from before. So then I'm slowing the pace down and I'm changing the order of things because I'm thinking you're just completely at a loss. If that's not the case, you got to let me know. But like, I'm trying to do things to make sure it accommodates you guys and where you are. But a lot of that really just depends on like, on what we're seeing from you, because that's really the only communication we have. Like, everybody could sit here and say everything's great, but we can't actually see your works. Then we're going to be like, yeah, they was just nodding along, but they have no clue what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the conversation with the toddler. You understand? Uh-huh. And not to insult any of your intelligence. I know none of you are toddlers, but I'm just saying, like, I know sometimes it's challenging, but we don't have any other way of reading the situation. So please, please, please send those things in. A couple of other housekeeping things. The course resources. So, the weekly recap email. So JB sends out weekly recap emails. Do any of y'all read those? Yes?
Yep. I actually just sent a response to the last one.
Okay. There's a lot of information that we pack into those. I just want to make sure you guys are actually staying on top of that, because like a lot of the times, especially there's so much going on through the week in class, you might miss something. So we try to highlight things that are like, hey, pay attention to this, or hey, here's some things that are coming up. So I want you to definitely pay attention to those, and because you don't want to miss out on any opportunities. The other thing, on the platform itself, on the course site, we also have like resources in there. So supporting documents, worksheets, links, leverage those as well if you haven't. Again, that's where we're including a lot of support. Like if anything's like confusing, like we know some of the topics that are a little more challenging. So I try to pack in extra materials there to kind of help unpack it, to kind of make it make sense, have extra examples. And so make sure you're leveraging those resources, because they'll really give you guys some insight. Because I know, like in the class, sometimes I get excited, I talk fast. Two, sometimes the materials, like they make sense, but when you try to put it in context for what you're doing for your business, there might be some gaps. And so we try to identify resources to support that. Please leverage those. The other thing I wanted to mention is team roles. That was also in the last recap email about our roles. And I think because we're all here kind of providing different services, I want to make sure you guys understand that we have different functionalities. And so JB's kind of the person that's kind of getting you like redirected to the right help. So when you don't know what to do, you reach out to JB, and she will point you to the person that will kind of get you the help that you need. And so she's really like, okay, like for some reason, I don't know how to access X, right? JB will tell you, okay, this is the person that will help you get to that, right? In terms of like your course materials, like the platform, I'm stuck on this homework, I'm really not sure if I'm approaching this the right way. Those are all Katie's questions, right? I'm doing the facilitating and the whole program management. So if you need something that, in terms of services that UF offers or leveraging some like, things that are higher up, that's when you kind of reach out to me. But I just want to make sure you guys are aware that, even in here, with breakout rooms and stuff, we're in there to just make sure the conversation flows. But we really want to get you guys to like, that peer-to-peer learning is really important. And so we kind of serve a lot of different roles in here, but I want to make sure like who to reach out to for different things. And when you see the responses, we really want to do a better job for efficiency purposes to kind of like streamline, because if you're reaching out to all of us asking us the same questions, it can get very complicated for us to make sure that you're getting the right type of support. So I just want to make sure you're good on that. And I'm going to pass it to Katie.
So I know that a couple of you had, and I just got a private message about the password saying that it was incorrect over the weekend. So this is a good example of something that you tell me, but then I'm going to pass it on to Nell, because Nell is like our guru, and that's above my like technical level. So thank you for letting me know. And if something like that happens, please, everyone let me know so that we know that it's not just a one-off. And then I can reach out and we can try to get it fixed as soon as possible. So it does sound like it's resolved now. Can everyone log in at this point in time? Yes, yes. Okay. All right, good. But yeah, if that ever happens again where it's saying you have the wrong password and you don't, please let me know. So that's it on my end.
Okay. And another housekeeping thing I want to mention, this is just more for engagement purposes, especially when we're in like our breakout rooms and we're talking to each other. Try to have your cameras on from time to time, just so like you can like people can feel like they're engaging with you. I'm never one to say cameras on mandatory. I just think that sometimes that is a bit evasive, and we all got a lot going on in our home lives, and so it might not always make sense. But we do want to feel engaged with each other to kind of help just connect, because sometimes it's just kind of a lot to process. And so especially like when we're in like the breakout rooms and you're talking to each other, it definitely helps with the engagement if you have a camera on. And so like, and every now and then we'll just say like, hey, turn your cameras on so we can do some, more engagement. But we really want to build a sense of community with the cohorts. And so we will be asking for that more and more. Just, like I said, it doesn't have to be the whole time, but like every now and then we really want you guys, like, because we want to know that, like I said, you're here, you're engaged, and you're checked in with us. So as we mentioned that more and more, please kind of be ready to accommodate that. Is that any other housekeeping stuff, JB, Katie, that I forgot to mention?
I am good. Hello, everyone.
Oh, wait. Okay. So in the recap email, there was one thing. So I didn't want to mention it before until we had it all finalized, but we have a executive coach that will be, you guys will be scheduling this. So the way this works is, remember I said, as an entrepreneur, people invest into you before they invest into your idea and your business. And so what we want to make sure is that we're paying attention to those things as well, right? You can build an amazing business, and we've all seen it, right? Some people that are selling products, you're like, sounds good, but I'm not so sure about, right? Like you like, as you're launching, especially, you embody your brand, right? And so people like, and a lot of that sometimes is just how we talk about our business, right? Like if you sound like you're unsure, I'm really going to be unsure as a buyer, right? Like, I think I'm solving a problem you might need. I'm not sure. Ain't nobody buying that. Like you have to really like, and I'm not saying everyone needs to turn into a car salesman, but you have to believe in your product, which means you have to have that confidence as an entrepreneur to really make me believe that you actually have, invested into this solution that can truly help me, right? And some of the times, especially, and with the collaboratory, because we focus on women and founders of color, some of the times when we look at the people who dominate the spaces that we're entering, they don't look like us. And that's hella intimidating. And we have to be honest with that and how that really impacts us, and be able to unpack those boxes so we can enter those spaces addressing those things, right? Like, okay, I get that, these barriers exist, and I get that I'm going to be in a room, especially if you go to some of these networking events, it can get interesting, right? And just calling it for what it is. You don't always feel like we're included or that we belong. And so how do we overcome that? How do we work through that? A lot of these things are a part of building your business, right? You have to build yourself as you build the business. And so we brought in, so this is our first time, our first experiment of bringing in an executive coach at this level. We normally bring it in later, but we really want to see how it works in terms of helping you guys early on, like as you're launching out your ideas and you're really starting to think of yourself as that person in this space, and what does that look like? So Sonia Rudestein, I'm bad at butchering names, I apologize. I'll be sending out an email to do an intro, and then we'll be sending out a link where you can book with her. Please try to get all of your first sessions scheduled. So essentially everyone will have access to five sessions with her. These are not mandatory, right? This is just a suggestion and a service that we offer. I highly recommend it, right? Because a lot of times we don't even know how these different things show up in our lives, and we don't realize how they can be a barrier to the things that we're doing. So you really want to kind of think through and have these thoughtful conversations. And so when we send out the calendar link, please try to schedule with her. Like I said, we want to try to make sure everyone gets scheduled by next week. And so that you kind of have that initial session, and the first 3 sessions will be back to back. So like once a week, and then the last 2 sessions will be every other week. And just so she can kind of get and unpack those things. So the first session is a 90-minute session. So be prepared to schedule that one. And then after that, there'll be 60-minute sessions. And so, like I said, I'll send out an email, or we'll send out an email with kind of like, introducing. So you'll have her email, she'll have yours, and then the Calendly link for you guys to schedule. Please make it that a priority. So start looking at your schedules now. And I don't know if she has sessions for this week, but I know for sure we said we wanted everyone scheduled next week. So see where you have time to fit that 90-minute session in based upon her availability, and make sure you schedule it yourself. All right, I think that's housekeeping. Anything else? All right, so I know some people had some questions about the Miro boards, so I want to give some time for that before we jump into our stuff. And so we've been hounding you guys for your homework assignments, and I know a lot of those boards were not submitted. So what's going on with the boards? What was our struggles?
So really quickly, I just want to say, by not a lot of them were submitted. I did not get a single submission this week of a Miro board that was done. And that did impact the way that we approached tonight. So I really do want to just emphasize again that you guys need to send it.
May I ask, are you able to see mine? I did it 10 minutes ago, but over here it doesn't show me that it went anywhere. So
I will look right now.
thank you.
I submitted mine thinking it was finished. I'm not sure if it's finished, but I did submit it. So
okay, if you did it like within the last hour and a half, I didn't see it. But so just a caveat. But I will look for yours too, Chris. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I thought I couldn't create a new board, but Sylvia helped me with it. When I went to create the new one this afternoon, it said that I had to reach my maximum for the group. And so she said, actually just click out of that and it won't ask me to upgrade my account. So that's what I did. So I started working on it this afternoon, but I'll have it in by this evening.
Okay. Marnisha, Patrick, you guys have any issues with your Miro boards?
I actually couldn't get in, and I sent a message to Katie, direct message, saying I couldn't. My password wasn't working.
Has it been resolved, or you still can't get in?
I still couldn't, as of right before this meeting. I couldn't get in.
Okay, Katie's gonna look into that.
yeah, I was having a similar issue to that earlier this week, but I was able to get in today.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like at least 3 of you now have said that. That is definitely above my technical level. So I will let Nell know during this meeting. I will send her an email and we will try to get that fixed. But like Wanda said, if there's any screenshots that you can submit I know it probably just says wrong password, but it's still helpful.
When you guys are trying to log in, have you tried using like a different browser? Like if it doesn't let you in on Chrome, have you tried using like Safari or Firefox or something different to see if it works there?
I have not, but on Chrome, like I had said before to Katie, when I hit forgot password, it let me write, it like took me there. It was weird because I tried to enter, said wrong password, you've maxed out your times. I'm like, oh my God, I must have changed it. I forgot. And then I hit forgot and it let me in. So there's a little, it's a glitchy.
Okay, yeah, we're definitely gonna look into that. Okay. Like I said at the beginning, if you know, you have that issue and you can't, if it gives you an error uploading, then just send it to us direct message in the platform. If you can't access the platform at all, then send it to us via email, and then we'll try to kind of figure things out. But just get them in the best way you can so we can give you guys some feedback and know where you are and how you're doing on it. All right, so Katie got Kristen and Lisa's assignments, and we're waiting on the rest of you guys. All right, so far so good. All right, so but there's no challenges, like it's not like anyone did not understand how to do the mirror boards or what to do with them or got stuck with them. We just had issues submitting them.
Well, like I had said, I have them on there and I have some titles, headings, but from there, I'm not even sure if it's what it's supposed to be. So,
okay. But you took a stab at it.
Yeah. I got at least 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 sticky notes,
okay.
6 or 7 headings.
Okay. All righty. Well, we will work with that. And everybody else is, I'm assuming, good, because you guys are thumbs up if we're good and don't need anything else so I can move on. I see nods. I see Sylvia. No. What's up, Sylvia?
I actually tried to export it and it only brought half of it in. So it didn't bring the rest of my board in. So I've been having challenges trying to get it to have the whole board, maybe a screenshot, and submit the document that way.
You
Reframe.
should. Yeah, that's what I said. You
did that.
Reframe it. So
Yeah, frame. Yeah.
I'll let your classmates answer. How did you guys approach that?
When I just did it, it said before it will let you export as a PDF, you must draw a frame. And I was like,
Yeah.
what, huh? And there's one little window that opens and I clicked custom. And then I did a drag across all of my yellow sticky notes. And it just made a square. And then I hit upload again and it went right away.
Yeah, mine was similar, the same way, but I just hit desktop and it brought that box and I just dragged the box down. So it fit the sticky notes.
All righty. I love solutions. We're figuring things out. Does that help you a little bit, Sylvia?
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Good team. All right, we're gonna jump in for tonight. And so what we're going to talk about a little bit is we're gonna dive into let me go back. So design thinking, we talked about empathy. We started on define. So empathy is figuring out who our customers are and what their needs are. And we talked about from the very beginning, we've been super, super focused on putting ourselves, understanding our users' worldview, understanding how they see the problem. Define is taking that data, all that information that we collected and putting it kind of in a nice, neat package so we know better how to address their needs. And it's really important in doing this because we start to see our users and their problems in a different light. One of the things I've seen sometimes with entrepreneurs at this stage, because when you dive into problem solving or starting a business, you start off oftentimes with a solution in mind. And it's so hard to let go of that solution as you go through this process. And it's so hard to not try to kind of get the user's experiences and things to line up with your pre-biases, which we talked about before. But it's really important that we focus on the problem first, because then by doing that, we have to learn how to take a step back, put whatever preconceived notions and solutions that we came up with aside to really focus on understanding, things from the user perspective, because there's so much that we often miss because we already have kind of our own thoughts. You'll see a lot of great businesses that they'll run out of steam, or they won't last very long because they're married to the solution. The businesses that sustain, we've talked about this before, they're married to the problem. And when you're married to the problem, you can evolve. And so you'll see a lot of businesses that are they'll flame up and then flare out because they became a fad. That solution was like, oh yeah, we do need that. But then other people who were married to the problem saw how to evolve before customers even recognized that they needed that need. And so all of this is tying back into that. So as we gather, like I said, we gather our data from our interviews and observations. We create organizations' point of view that are clear and concise. They help us understand the customer story and increase alignment and understanding across all the things you're going to do for launching your companies or building your companies. A good point of view, which is what we're going to start off with, will allow you to ideate some of your challenges in a goal-oriented manner and keeping us focused on our users and their needs. So I have, let me do this, a quick video to help put this into perspective.
In the define.
Oh, that's not working. Share screen before we start video.
Solution to the wrong problem will always fail. In design thinking or any product development process, it's important to define the problem you want to solve before we spend resources ideating, designing, even developing. This is where user needs statements, a pillar in the define stage of design thinking, come in. Now, before I even get into the definition, it's worth mentioning that there are so many terms that mean somewhat the same thing. You'll hear them called how might we statements, problem statements, point of view statements, POV statements. It doesn't matter what term you use, only that you consistently use one across your team and organization. So what is a user need statement? A user need statement is an actionable problem statement used to summarize who a particular user is, that user's need, and why it's important. It defines what you want to solve before you move on to generating all those different ideas. These benefits are twofold. One, you condense your perspective on the problem. Two, you provide a metric for success that you can use throughout the design thinking process. Most need statements or problem statements are made up of three components: a user, a need, and their goal. These are then combined into somewhat of an equation. A user needs a way to do something to accomplish a goal. So let's break down that first part, user. The user should be a specific persona or real end user segment you've done research on. It's helpful to include a short tagline that helps remind everyone who this user is, especially if that need statement is going to be used by a large team or stakeholders who are removed from research. And then we have the need. The need should be a real user need. Stay away from features, interface components, specific technology. And then we have the insight. This is the goal. This is the meat. It is the result of meeting that user need. It should be rooted in real empathy. Look beyond the obvious. What will your solution allow the user to accomplish? The fatal flaw that I see so many teams make is that the purpose of a user need statement should be capturing what we want to achieve with our design, not the hows. They should help us advance our presumptive solutions from discrete specific features like buttons towards those deeper empathetic insights. I think of it this way. User need statements should help us frame our users' needs as verbs, access information, to learn, instead of nouns, buttons, drop-downs. When we do this, we're able to generate far superior ideas because we don't limit ourselves to those predetermined solutions, which are often just band-aids for larger user needs.
All right, so that hopefully should give you guys a little more insight into let's see, there we go. the user needs statement. So developing that insight point of view, creating a problem statement. And so a good point of view allows you to ideate in a goal-oriented manner, reframing your design into actionable problems, articulating the point of view, and combining knowledge about the user you are designing for, right? Understanding their needs, and it should be actionable. All the things that she kind of pointed on in there. So there are really three main components of a user statement or point of view. You'll often hear it called. The user, defining the very specific type of user whom you're writing your statement for. So if you kind of think about all the things that we've been doing, we basically come full circle, right? We started off creating a problem statement, and it was based off of the way you understand the problem. So remember our very first session where we had John can't read, right? You know, the problem as we know it now, his goal, right? So wants to write the great American novel, right? And so we were able to unpack that. So we started off by taking the things that we know of the problem from our understanding right now, and we wrote out a nice, neat sentence just to, you know, explain that. Then we went around and we talked to a bunch of people, and we got some insight, and we talked to our stakeholders, excuse me. So we talked to our stakeholders, we got some more insight from them. We were able to analyze that data, synthesize that data, and then analyze it. Look at what were the top things that came out, right? What was the main points that we were able to abstract out of the things that they were saying. Now we're going to take those top 2 or 3 categories, and we're going to turn them into point of view statements, right? And so sometimes we have multiple point of view statements because we had, you know, we interviewed our end users and we had multiple end users. So we interviewed an end user and, you know, another stakeholder, right? And so we might have multiple point of view statements or that one user, there's a couple things that came up, right? So if we had that one user, but like 3 things bubbled up to the top. So I think last time we talked about barriers to eating healthy. And one of the 3 was, I think, like, it was, I want to say like lifestyle or something like that, right? And so like lifestyle was one, and help me with the other, I can't recall.
Location.
Location was the other. I was about to say transportation. Yes, location was the other, right? And so each one of those now gives us what we need to turn those into point of view statements, right? And so now the question is, who is the user, right? Being very descriptive and defining who is those user. And I think we talked about people in food deserts. We talked about, so as specific as you can, who is that user? And then you want to think about what is the need, identifying the user's essential needs or goals, right? And then, and I'm sorry, that their essential needs. And then you synthesize with that surprising insight, synthesizing, gathering information and key takeaways. This can be used to design our solution. So if we think about how to do a point of view statement, you want to look at a specific needs of a user and think about how we might meet the needs of that user. So you fill in the following statement. So that the example she was giving, right? So it's the user needs and insight/goals. So an example would be, I am 7 years old, right? So we have a very specific user, right? I hate doing homework because, you know, so that need, and because it takes me forever to finish, right? And so what is, you know, and so you can think about that in terms of the goal, right? So the need is to get that homework done, but like you can think about the insight, that goal is finishing, right? And so like, how do we kind of unpack that? So you want to think about a point of view statement. It has to be focused. You want to keep it focused and narrow, but not too narrow, right? You don't want it too broad. You don't want it too narrow, right? And you want to frame it as a problem statement. Use them to evaluate competing ideas and make them actionable. And these statements are to kind of guide our innovation in our process. They're not talking about the solution, right? We're not saying like, you know, this user need my product, or my user needs, you know, that very specific thing, but it's the user needs this goal that they're trying to accomplish. So another example, the user is an adult who lives in a city. The need is to use a car for 10 to 60 minute trips 1 or 4 times a week, right? And the insight is the user would not want to own his own car. It would be too expensive compared to his needs, and he would like to share a car with others who have similar needs. However, there's no easy, affordable solution for him. It's important for us for the user to think and live green and not to own more than he truly needs. So if we were to think about this into a point of view statement, how would this go? What would a point of view statement using this sound like?
It would be like a user who is an adult who lives in the city needs a car because he thinks like because of maybe like financial burdens.
What is his goal though?
To be able to like be more green and like environmentally conscious, and that's why he doesn't have a car.
Okay. What are some other insights? What are some other ways of looking at this? I want to get y'all talking now.
So I'll add on to that. So an adult person living in the city needs a car that's not expensive and that fits into how they see the world in terms of the environment.
Okay. Does he need a car or access to a car?
True. He only needs a car for these 10 to 60 minute trips or a couple times a week or 1 to 4 times a week.
Okay. All right. Marnisha adds in the chat, I live in the city and don't think it makes sense to buy an expensive car because I don't have far to travel. Okay, that's one way to look at it. But again, does he need a car or just access to the car? Because look at that need, right? Oops, sorry.
I saw that as adult user in the city needs to share a car share something to support his environmental concerns and within his budget.
Right. So he only has these, trips a couple times a week that requires no more than an hour access to a car. So I'm not sure if he's looking to purchase a car. It's just get access to a car. So yeah, that might be a shared car, right? And so he needs access to it, but he wants it to match, his green needs of not owning a car that is not going to get utilized or but he also wants an affordable solution.
May I ask a question of y'all from Florida? They have out here the scooters that I guess you put like a credit card in or something. I've never used one, and you rent them until maybe the battery dies or your time limit is up and you just leave them. In California at the university, they had cars like that. Do they have that out here?
They used to have city car share
like
zip car, but I don't think they
like
still
that.
do it.
You scanned it and it allowed you access, and it was all computerized, but you could use that car and then you just parked it wherever when you were done.
Yeah, so that's the predecessor of the scooters and the bikes. Shared cars was the first iteration of that. So Zip cars and their competitors, now they have Turo, where instead of a company, you can do that from another person. So if you decide you want your car to be a shared car, you put it on Turo and someone can borrow your car for
like an Airbnb when you're not using it. Oh my gosh. Okay.
There's Get Around. Get Around too is the same way.
Yeah, so there's a lots of services that have used that, but essentially that's what this example is from, would demonstrate, right? Like the justification of why someone would need a Zip car or Get Around or something like that, right? I need access to a car for a few hours. It's more green, it's more affordable, it fits my lifestyle, etc. Right? So that's essentially like a great example that would encapsulate kind of what this example would be, iterating. Let's look at another one. All right. So a financial advisor who meets with clients needs to facilitate meaningful conversations with more clients throughout the day. The insight is the user spends a lot of time dealing with paperwork. His real passion and where his business grows is through genuine conversations with clients. Paperwork and account management is essential to the business, but by the time he is working on those logistics, the sale is made and it's unprofitable time. So again, think about that user, the need and the insight. And this is essentially it, but you would take these pieces and you would try to consolidate it so you can make like one concise sentence that you can say like, here is my need statement. Does that make sense? Okay.
I guess I have a quick question. I guess I'm going to the solution in my mind. I would think that I would say a financial advisor who meets with clients needs an assistant to facilitate meaningful conversations in order to continue to facilitate meaningful conversations.
Yeah, so I think that is very much more solution focused, because assistant is one solution, but there are several other ways he can get this problem solved. So you want to just focus in on the solution. So a financial advisor who meets with clients needs meaningful ways to facilitate conversations with more clients throughout the day, because he spends too much time on paperwork or something. I don't know, like that wasn't a good example, but you want to just focus on what is truly the problem he's having, right? Not the solution to that problem yet, right? Because you were just trying to say like really what you got going on right now, right? Like, and that is the sole focus. Does that make sense? Okay.
If I could add to that, how I'm thinking about it, like with the previous example, we were talking about ride sharing, but that could also have been Uber or Lyft.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Or it could be like now, like think about when Zip cars first came out, people was like, oh, car sharing, right? But something like that could have been, now it could be an Uber, it could be a Lyft, it could be the bike sharing, it could be the scooter, it could be, right? Like it's really about like, you know, you take that around, like he said car, but what if that just said transportation? Because then it was just like, what are all the different ways that, you know, shared transportation is being done now, right? And this is an older example before a lot of these options were there. So you want to really kind of focus in on all the different ways that this problem can be solved. I mean, because of all the different ways the problem can be solved, you really want to just focus on like, what is truly the problem, right? All right, another one we're gonna do. So this is kind of like pulling from, so this is kind of us kind of thinking about how we pull from our mirror boards that we created, so we can start pulling things together for our point of view statements. So so say you did an interview, you met Sarah, a frazzled young mom in yoga pants who very rarely goes to restaurants to eat anymore, because she but used to go a lot. So what were some things that we noticed? She doesn't eat out. She rushes through dinner to avoid potential child meltdowns, so the experiences no longer feels special. To Sarah, restaurants were, we wonder if this means to Sarah, restaurants were indulgence, where she got to be pampered, and now dining out has lost that joy. It would be a game changer. Have Sarah experience more bliss while dining out with her baby? So these are some things, like say we interviewed Sarah and this is kind of the things that we're pulling out. And then we start to think about how do we create a point of view statement just based off of what we know off of Sarah from here. How do we, so who's our user?
Sarah. Wonder, may I ask, this is how my stickies look. They're like statements of stuff. So this is exciting to me.
How do we describe Sarah? Like what do we know about Sarah? Like Sarah is a frazzled young mom, right?
Like the other Sarah,
as a young mom in the yoga pants, whichever, but we know that much about Sarah, right? And I think just understanding that insight, a frazzled young mom says so much to us, right, about Sarah in terms of her state of mind, her like emotional state, her level of energy, etc., right? Like that tells us a lot about that user, right? So what is it that Sarah needs?
Sarah needs to hire a babysitter so she can enjoy dining out again.
That is solution focused, but let's think about it in terms of her problem. What does Sarah need?
Sarah needs to be able to enjoy something she used to enjoy before the baby, going out to restaurants, the experience of going out to eat.
Okay, what else? What else? What are some other things that we can think of in terms of what Sarah needs?
Like needs to, because, right? Needs to enjoy her dining experience because
Yes, so it's not just
she
going out
used
to
to
eat,
enjoy it
but she needs
and
to
wants to do
enjoy
it.
her dining, because she can go out to eat. No, the problem isn't that she can't go. It's just going out to eat, went from being this, fun indulgence to countdown. Is he gonna make it? I don't know. He's switching. Oh crap, the timer's on. Like
No dessert.
frazzled young mom, right? And like she's watching her kid the whole time, and she's trying to enjoy dinner, and like French fries go to flying, and she's like, oh, this is not gonna be a good night, right? Like, so what does she need? She needs to enjoy her dining experiences, right? Because, right? What is our because? What are some insights that we're seeing? What is the challenges there? Oh, and I left off another piece. Sarah, frazzled young mom, wants to enjoy her dining experience while she's out with her baby. This is so your babysitter question. She wants her baby there. She's not trying to leave her baby at home. She wants to have her baby there and enjoy her dining experiences.
And so needs to, because she wants to enjoy a dining experience with her baby, right? I mean, that's our because, like the insight, right?
Is it? I'm looking at y'all.
Like user needs to, because
needs to
what? Enjoy her dining experience because she wants to continue this thing she used to do. No longer feels special. She wants to or keep doing this thing that helps her to feel special and give her a bit of a break from cooking and cleaning and be pampered. Good word.
Mm-hmm. Just regain her joy, but with like in this new experience of being a mom. So it's not maybe that she's trying to go back to what she had before because she didn't have the baby, but how do you bring that joy from the past experiences into being a mom as well in the restaurant?
Yeah, I think all of that, right? So you think about it, like where it says, we wonder if this means, like for Sarah, like she loved, enjoyed her dining experience. It was her way of being pampered, and now she has a kid and she doesn't want to have to choose between one world, right? She wants to enjoy her dining experience, but she wants to have her kid with her. And so like, that's her conundrum. Like, how can I bring these two worlds together, right? My pleasant dining experience and my kid, right? And so like that's the challenge. That's the problem we're trying to solve, right? It's not what to do with the kid. It's not like just can she go out to eat? Can I enjoy a dining experience with my kid with me, right? And then you start to think about all the worlds of solutions that can come to play with that, and we'll talk about that once we get to ideate. But right now I just really want to focus in on like what is truly the problem that she's facing. All right, let's dive in a little deeper. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start thinking about our own point of view statements. Y'all feel like y'all got a grip on this? We feel like we can tackle it for our own. So with this, what I want you to do is think about I didn't ask this at the beginning, so I should have, and this was one of the things I forgot to ask. How have all of you finished your interviews?
Not all of them.
Have we gotten through 5?
4.
And yes, but I have some more people who I found that I could interview, so I'll just keep doing it. But I have enough for this.
Definitely. Okay. Have we, for the ones that we have we synthesized those interview data?
No, not for me.
You said not yet? Okay. All right. For everyone else, have you synthesized your interview data? And have you done the analysis like the Miro board stuff? Not yet? Okay. All right. So talk to me. Thumbs up if you have. Okay, we got 2.
I'm not finished yet. So
Okay.
I'm halfway.
Okay, I just want to see if you have enough to work with, because we're going to have to do is change the breakout rooms. And if you're not there yet, it doesn't really kind of make sense to put you in a breakout room, kind of like working on this for yours, because you don't have your stuff to work on.
I have enough to work with.
Okay. All right. So does everybody like, so I saw a couple thumbs. So let me try that again. Who don't have enough analysis that you can pull from to work on point of view statements? So that means everyone got enough done that you can kind of do this. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do on kind of based on that is we're going to use the data we've collected thus far from our interviews and observations to draft our point of view statements. And so we're going to go into breakout rooms. There's going to be larger rooms so you guys can kind of really toy with it. You want to each kind of like construct, like I said, it could be more than one, but I want you to really kind of work on constructing your point of view statements. Help each other out. Like a lot of times we do this kind of, like I said, the purpose of the breakout rooms is to kind of really leverage your cohort members to really think through these, because I know, like, you know, these can be a little tricky, right? So you really want to think about like, what are those pieces? What is truly that user need? And then we're going to come back and share. So we're going to do 2 breakout rooms and kind of have you guys in there to work on them. Anybody have questions on this? This is why we kind of get there. We're good. All right, JB, are we ready?
Yep, open the rooms.
All righty. All right, so breakout rooms have been open. Please join. Time to work on point of view statements.
I had the one.
Yep. All right. You want to hang out here, JB, or you want a room? Hit the record. Hopefully this exercise was really helpful for you guys. The whole purpose is when you do interviews, it's just a lot of information and you're sitting there like, what am I going to do with this? And so analyzing them, then you just have a lot of post-its and now you're like, really, what am I going to do with this? And so this is just kind of forcing all of this, like, you know, to squeeze it back into a concise manner. So we started off with a concise statement, then we blew it up by getting all this feedback from people, and now we're just shoving it back down into a concise statement. And this is just the constant process of when you get all this information, you have to have a process to make it workable. Otherwise, what it's going to do is sit on the shelf somewhere like, oh, that was really good insight. So I'm just going to go back to do what I thought I wanted to do in the first place because I understood that. Don't know what to do with all this information. And you do yourself a disservice because then you'll find out you created something nobody wanted. And you kind of knew that when you talked to them, but you didn't really know how to operationalize it, right? And so this is all about taking the things that you learned from your users and making it actionable, taking them into those chunks. And so you can actually build them into a solution that benefits your user, but you have to really start thinking about how to unpack all the things you learned from your user as you're talking to them. So did everybody feel okay? Like, do we feel like we made some progress? By the way, the goal is to have all of you submit this before class ends because I'm tired of y'all holding your homework assignments hostage. So we are submitting this all before class is over. So we're going to go through the how might we statements, and then I'm going to hold you hostage until I see you hit submit and Katie gives me the thumbs up that you submitted your assignments. Then you're free to go. I'm not trying to torture you guys, but I really want to know what you guys are kind of thinking through so we know we're actually, you know, pushing you along in the right direction. Or, you know, or are you kind of dragging, kicking and screaming because you have no clue what's going on? And so I really just want to know, like, you know, where are we on this? All right, let me go back to sharing my screen. Okay, hold on real quick. My computer's saying low battery, which means I'm not charged. Okay. Oh, because I unplugged myself. Awesome. Sorry about that. You guys would have been sitting here by yourself for a second. All right, I'm all juiced up now. Here we go. All right, so we talked about our point of view statements. So point of view go hand in hand with how might we statements. And that's what she kind of talked about in the video, and we'll have another video in a second. But the point of view statement, point of view problem statement was just taking all of that and putting it together so you understand the problem. But the problem doesn't really give you a way of saying, okay, what is it I'm trying to solve? And so we take the problem and we put it into a question, because now as you're going through your design, as you're thinking about what's going to benefit your users, what's really the best way to tackle it, you want to always come back to what is the question I'm asking? What is the question I'm addressing? What is the question we're really grappling with, right? And so questions have the potential to spark ideations, right? That's where the brainstorm comes. If you always come back to the question, it gives you room to think about all the possible ways this solution can be addressed, right? And it should be broad enough for a wide range of solutions, but narrow enough that the specific solution can be created for them, right? And should be the basis of observation you gathered from when you did your empathy stage of the design thinking process. So it's all the things that you grab, but it's always taking all of that and you're fixing it into a nice, neat, and maybe not nice and neat, but a question that you can actually tackle. So let me go to a little video here that will kind of give us some insight.
The how might we exercise helps to reframe challenges as questions and creates the right atmosphere for designing innovative solutions. The how might we method is a proven design thinking activity which has participants simply rephrase known challenges as a question, beginning with how might we. Writing how might we notes is a collaborative exercise and is done at the beginning of a design sprint, workshop, project, or strategic initiative. Begin by performing subject matter expert interviews and user research. Step 1, seek first to understand. Identify and outline any insights or pain points related to your current design challenge or initiative. You might do this by listening to subject matter interviews, watching a demo, observing a user test, or reviewing past research. Step 2, reframe as a question. While you are listening, reframe these insights into questions by starting with how might we. Step 3, turn challenges into opportunities. By reframing a challenge as a question, you are getting at the core of the challenge and asking how it could be solved. Step 4, be prolific. Write out as many how might we notes as reasonably possible. More how might we questions create more opportunities for solution exploration. Remember that your how might we question shouldn't be too broad or too narrow, and it shouldn't include a solution. An example of a how might we question that is too narrow and solution specific. How might we design a product that helps users deposit their paychecks in 3 easy steps by using a guided workflow?
I'm going to pause there to make sure you guys catch that. And what makes this too narrow?
It's basically a solution, but like more.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, like I heard her say, like it's saying very specific, but like paychecks, that's specific, not any check.
Okay. What else were you saying, Varsha?
Oh, just like it's like if they just stopped to deposit their paychecks, that would have been fine. But I think the rest of it, the 3 easy steps and the guided workflow, that's more of like they're like talking about a solution.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's continue.
An example of a how might we question that is too broad. How might we create the most innovative digital online banking app? An example of a well-framed how might we question. How might we make our users feel confident our application is secure when making online payments? You'll know you have a well-framed how might we question when it contains enough inspiration for you to begin brainstorming potential solutions.
All right, so hopefully that helped us put some of this into perspective. Let's see. Just share my screen again. All right, so how might we questions, the how suggests that we don't know, we don't have the answers yet, right? And so remember I said, you start this process, you have your thoughts, you address your own biases, you put the problem the way you see it, and you put that in a little box and you put it away. Then you talk to people, you understand what you want to understand things from the way they see it, their worldview. And so you're not approaching it with, I know the answers to your problem, but I really want to understand your problem. So how suggests that we don't have the answers yet. And it helps us set aside our beliefs. It helps us explore a variety of endeavors, merely executing, and not just merely executing what we think the solution should be, right? And might emphasizes that our response may only be possible solutions, right? There are multiple solutions to any problem, right? And so you want to kind of think through whatever I'm thinking of, this is one of many, right? And we immediately brings in the element of collaborative effort. We're suggesting that the idea for the solution lies in our collective teamwork, right? And so just really kind of thinking through. And so you start by saying, like, start by rephrasing or reframing your point of view statement. So how might we at the beginning, and then you break that larger point of view challenge up into smaller, actionable, meaningful question. So some of your point of view statements might be like a combination of different thoughts. Each one of those would be its own how might we statement, right? And so remember in the video, she was talking about making multiple point of view how might we statements, as many as it makes sense. And that is like what is to be expected. So you might have 2 point of view statements, but like 6 different how might we statements, right? And so it's just really thinking about all those different things that bubbled up when you guys did your analysis, your data analysis, right? And how can we address all those different things, right? And you want to look at your how might we questions and ask yourself if they allow a variety of solutions, and how might we questions are, you don't want them too broad, and if there are, you want to be able to narrow them down. So let's look at a couple examples. So remember our 7-year-old, our user was 7 years old, his need to do homework insight because it takes me forever to finish. So actually what he needs is efficiency. So how might we create a way for this student to do his or her homework more efficiently? And so do you kind of see there how we went from our point of view statements, user need insight, into our how might we statement, right? Okay. All right, so let's think about another one, right? Or these are actually a couple different point of view statements. So let's think about how we can make these into how might we statements. So the first one, I'm a college student. I hate folding laundry because I can't seem to fold it the right way. What would be a good how might we statement for that first one? How might we?
How, I got one.
Mhm.
How, is it still the verb? Like, how might we teach this college student a routine way to fold laundry?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think
Broad, not too specific.
Okay. How about the number 2? I am the mother of 5-year-old twins who hate vegetables of all kinds. I worry about their nutritional needs. How might we?
How might we make vegetables yummy enough? Is yummy too specific? Or how might we make vegetables? How might we meet the nutritional needs of 5-year-olds who don't like vegetables?
That's good.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I like how you rephrase that, because it's really about them getting the
Nutritional.
nutrients, right? Yep. Mhm. All right, the last one. I'm a farmer who has a hard time getting up early, even though I know I have to take care of animals. I keep sleeping through my alarm. How might we?
How might we find a method?
How might we encourage this farmer to wake up on time?
Okay.
To take care of his animals.
How might we create a system of caring for animals that can happen at any time of the day?
Okay. I like the out of box thinking.
Mhm.
Okay.
How might we help people wake up on time when they sleep through their alarm?
Okay. All right. And here's some possible solutions for those. These are, again, there are multiple ways to do this, but how might we create a tool to help college students fold laundry? How might we help a mother succeed in getting her children to eat vegetables? How might we create something to help the farmer wake up each morning? Again, this is just one possible way. There are many. I want you guys to, and we're not going to do, let me see, do we have enough time? We got enough time to do another round of breakout rooms, and I want you to work on your how might we statements. All right, so you have your point of view statements. We're going to work on our how might we statements for about 15 minutes, and we're going to come back together and get those things submitted. So let me get our, or do you guys want to just stay here? Do you want to go back in the breakout rooms, or are you good here?
Breakout rooms are fine.
I like the breakout room.
Anyway, breakout's fun. Well, I have a question for Katie. How do I close out my I call the interview data, my Miro, and open a note? I can get 4, right? So I should open one for my how might we's.
So Miro is actually a fairly new tool for me personally. Wanda is more of the Miro person.
Wanda, is there a way to save and open a new one that I'm not seeing?
In Miro, you should be able to have up until, I think you can have up 3 boards.
4 or 3, okay.
Yeah, it's 3 boards. So as long as you haven't gone over that 3, you should be able to just close out the one you have and open another one. And that first board, I believe Miro automatically saves. If not, make sure you save it, but you can have up to 3 boards.
And
Okay.
what we're gonna want for tonight, just to be clear, for when you leave tonight is, hopefully I'm clear on this, Wanda, tell me if I'm not. We want you to submit your how might we question and your point of view statement. It will be as a quiz for tonight's module. So it'll say start quiz. It's not the Miro board. That's last week's.
Well, but I mean,
So
like that
even
video,
though we
how they
want
did
those,
Miro for the how might we.
for today,
Okay.
for tonight, we want those 2, the point of view and the how might we.
How many
Before
how
you
might
head out.
we's should we have in ratio to our statement questions?
Oh, go ahead, Katie.
I was going to say, for you with your 2 users, you definitely, I would think you would want 2, right, Wanda? 1 for each user. How might we, because you want to be solving a need on both sides.
Yeah, a minimum of 2 for you, Chris. It might be more, but you want a minimum of 2.
I might have to write a lot of them.
That's fine. That is okay. The more the merrier, but we wanted you at least to have that minimum. And okay.
I was just gonna let me know when you want me to send us to breakout rooms.
Oh yes. Just one more thing. You don't have to. Because we know we're doing it all right now, and you might think of some later. That's fine. You know what I mean? Just kind of give us what you have at the end of the evening. If you kind of come back and be like, oh man, this would have been a great one. You're still growing. Your business is still evolving. That is totally okay. But just have that and be prepared to do that. Okay, I think we're a little unbalanced. So I was wondering, should we shift the breakout rooms a little bit, Katie?
Yeah, we should probably, what if we move, what if we put Lisa in with Sylvia and Varsha? And that's only because she's next to room 2 on my screen. No
Okay.
other reason for that. Does that work?
Yeah. All right, we can open breakout.
Okay. So I'm gonna move Lisa. You're going to a different breakout room this time.
Oh, I already
Here we
moved
go.
it. Okay, yeah.
Oh, you moved her.
Yeah.
Oh, yep, it shows on my screen now. Okay. Great.
Breakout rooms.
You're on mute.
Sorry, everyone's back, but we're a little thinner, but that's okay. So what I want you guys to do, I'm going to continue with you, Ines. I want to answer I want to say one more comment, but I want you guys to start submitting. So you should go to your login, start your quizzes, put in your point of view statements, put in your how might we statements, and Katie's going to let us know how we're doing. So while you guys are doing that, Ines, the other thing I want you to think about, one, broaden the scope of the people that you're interviewing, but it also might be there might be 2 different ways to approach the community that you've targeted thus far, because it might be also how you're presenting it, because you can think about it as if you're interviewing parents or moms and they're saying they want something, when they think of these kind of products, they want something that they can use on their family. But you can also think about, we've seen a lot of this in the market where you have specialty items, but even though it's normal household items, the way it's targeting that market is targeting as, this is something for you. So you spend all day on everyone else. This is time when you get to nourish your body, right? So focusing on you. So how do they think about products that, they're kind of niche products that, is just for them bettering themselves? Think about this as your moment to indulge, your private, spa when you can't get to the spa, whatever it is. I think that how they getting insight from them on how they think about those products too, because as Katie was saying, right, that audience is they're very specific in terms of, okay, if it's for me and my family, I want things a certain way, but then you'll see them go the extra mile if it's better for their family, or if it means this might be my only way of doing something for myself, right? I might not have a way to get away, but if this is going to be a feel-good exercise for myself, and so how do they think about those things? That might be another way for you to kind of position yourself in that market too. But I do want you to also broaden. So think about some of the questions that you can add to the interviews for that audience, but broaden the scope of your target market. So not just mothers, not just, because I think sometimes we pigeonhole ourselves just because that's the people we have access to. And if they're not a good fit, broaden your scope. There's another audience out there for you. All right. Are we submitting? Yes.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Thank you.
Welcome.
So should I submit the statements that I've completed based on who I've interviewed so far, even though I'm going to switch to a different direction? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good to know, to mark where we are, and then as we switch, we can see that growth. Somebody started to say something.
Well, I was just going to say our first submitter is Varsha.
Whoop, whoop.
Awesome job. There's multiples in there, so that's exciting. And I see other people are working on it.
All right, so I'll keep talking while you guys submit. I feel like I'm doing those fundraiser-thons. So Wednesday, now that we have these things done, it's going to be a little more fun. So Wednesday, we're going to do personas. And we talked about that a little bit when we started our point of view. We talked about who is the user. We're going to unpack that a little bit more on Wednesday, where we're going to build actual personas for our users. And that's normally taking personas, you build them one or two ways. You can one of the ways I like to build personas is if I interviewed like 5 different people, I take a little bit of their personalities and I make them into one, and I make that my like fictitious person that I'm focusing on, right? And we do this a lot, especially when we think about, I have a theater background. And so in theater, like when we think about a character, you want to be able to deconstruct that character, right? So everything that character does, everything that we see them react to, there's a reason behind it, right? So if someone opens a door, raises a hand, and they flinch, there's a reason behind it, right? There's a backstory behind it, right? If something makes them smile, or there's always that backstory. And so what we want to try to do is make our personas as real as we can. And so that's why the interviews, in-person interviews, are so important, because you get a chance to experience a certain piece of your user that you don't necessarily experience in other ways, right? And so by having that person-to-person interaction, you see a lot about them as they're talking about things. What are the things they light up at, right? What are the things they frown at, right? What are the things that, they're curious or afraid of? All those things you're capturing, and that's the person you're keeping in mind as you're going to go through every step of the design, as you go through development, as you think of marketing, as you think of are they cost conscious? Are they a big spender? Are they, all these things about your user is going to infiltrate how you design your product and your business. And so you want to unpack as much as you can about that user, right? And so we're going to spend some time on that in terms of making our people as real as possible and knowing their stories and being able to tell their stories, because the more we can tell their stories, the better we can build a product for them, right? And we all have, think about your family and friends, right? Where sometimes they'll say stuff and you'd be like, that's not true, right? And then they're like, no. And it's like, no, I know you, that's not true, right? Like, you want to be able to kind of understand your user on that deeper level. And that comes from that persona, right? And so we're going to go into personas, and then we're going to go into our storyboards, right? Not only do we need to know our user, but we need to know what is the situation, that the scenarios in terms of that they come into need and use with our product, right? So understanding who they are is important, but what is it about their life that we know that's going to bring them into a reason where they're going to interact? How are they going to hear about our product, right? How, where are the spaces? Because remember when we first started, we started talking about sometimes the scenario isn't a 24-hour thing, right? It's true when only certain parameters are in place. Like Varsha, we talked about some of your clients, right? If someone in their whole life might not need their product until certain medical conditions arise, now that becomes their lifeline, right? Like if I have an acute condition, now I'm going to need that more than I would have 5 years ago, or probably in the next 5 years, right? And so that is a very a specific time. Same thing with you, Lisa, right? If someone had a loss and they're trying to figure out how to declutter, that is a very specific time or very contextualized moment that they're going to need your products and services, right? And so what is those what is that storyline, that scenario that they come about needing or wanting your product and service, right? And then how do where they are in their life and your product and service kind of cross paths? What does that storyline look like, right? And this helps us, not just for us, but for your user. If you know your user stories, and these are all the things we're pulling from our interviews. So even though we pulled these questions, we're still pulling from our interviews to construct these stories. What are some of the things you heard and from your users as you were talking to them? And if you put that together and you made one story and you went to another user in your that you're targeting, can they relate to that story? When they hear that, they're like, I know exactly what you're talking about, right? Can you construct a viable enough storyline where anyone else that fits in that specific target domain, they can see themselves in that, right? And they'd be like, yes, and, right? And they're feeding more into it. Can you share that and be able to really empathize with them? The better you are in being able to construct who your users are and their stories, tells me more about how true are you in terms of understanding that user and their needs. Does that make sense? All right, Katie, how's my stalling doing?
So actually, it looks like there were some prereqs that were enabled, and I'm having a hard time turning them off. So some people might not be able to submit right now. but you can also just put it in the chat to me and I will save these. So if you cannot get in there,
And Katie, if mine
then-
says it looks like it is and it shows pending, that it's in the ether
Yeah.
somewhere. Okay, I don't want to hit start again, but I think it's.
give me just a second. I'm gonna look.
Cool. And Wanda, if I may ask, like you were just saying that story that we're creating from these people that we're speaking to, we could still have like, I mean, we'll have like 2 avatars, like those of us who have a few different point of views. Okay.
Yeah, and I was actually just about to say this for you, Lisa. You might have like, I wouldn't do more than 3, but you seem to have 2 clear like personas. You have the sort of widower or the, widower.
I feel like I
persona
might
or-
want to stick with that, like the, senior.
Yeah, you had a couple. So
aging and then pain. Because those pain people can be 30, 40, but the aging, I think, is going to be aging in place, so 2. I like 2. I'm gonna stick with 2. Any more is making my head spin.
okay, so I have submittals from Atisha, Lisa, and Barsha.
Thank you.
All right.
And then
Sorry, I'm just creating more. I have like 4 of them right now. Should I keep going or?
Oh, send us what you got. You can keep going if you like come up with more, but send us what you have so far.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, as they pop up, just add them to your list, but we want to at least see what you have thus far.
Okay. I'll do that now. I think I finished it.
I submitted mine in the chat. Or do you
Yep.
want us to?
I've got yours now. Excellent.
I just submitted mine.
Now, forgive me, Katie, I didn't like write mine in Word and then cut and paste it in here, which I learned from my other messages. I should probably do that. How do I see what I sent you? Oops.
So I think you can see it if you go into I think you can see your quiz answers. Can't you, Wanda, that you submitted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, I'll have JB create like a little tutorial on how to see it.
I don't see
Okay,
my.
so Christopher, yours are in now. Excellent. Okay, I am just going to give you each person who submitted. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to grade it because maybe you'll be able to see it when I give a little. Grade here.
Hopefully I'm in the right track because I don't know why. I think I overthink things a lot. So hopefully this is.
You all do. That's why we're doing this. Y'all will hold on to it and overthink it and redo these things 100 times. And I'm trying to get y'all to let go.
That part's hard.
So if you submit, you're getting the point, and so you're passing it. I just wanna.
So I think that's almost everyone.
Because the concept of the questions are easy. It's just like implementing them, I guess, makes it so hard for myself.
Yeah, it's because the thing about it, like the examples and stuff we do in class, that's not your business. So coming up with a solution for that or answer to that, not a problem. Your business is like, oh, wait, hold on. I got to think about this a little deeper because this is a, right? And so it raises the stakes and therefore it's harder, it puts a little more pressure on you. So I completely understand.
Tisha, you did a great job of breaking them out. I just want to say that as I was looking through. And just because I praised Tisha doesn't mean that other people didn't deserve it. We had specifically told her to break out some of those. So, yeah. Lisa, I'm excited to see what you ideate on, but this is...
Yeah, me too.
Although I told myself, I was like, all weekend, I was like, my phrase for all of you was do only this step and do it with excellence, not to get too far ahead of yourselves, because it's really tempting. Like, it's when you start to hear these things, like I love brainstorming. So I'm like, oh, well, you could do this and this and this, and then I have to stop myself. But these are great questions. So, all right.
That's a great
Let's see. All right, so we have Lisa who did it. We have Chris who did it. We have Aktisha who did it. We had Varsha who did it. And we had Inez. Sylvia, how are you doing?
You're muted.
Oh, you're on mute. You're still muted. I can see that.
Okay. I'm overthinking it. I know I'm overthinking it. I know it's just as simple. I know we talked through it, but I'm still overthinking it. I'm getting there. I'm already getting ready. Just let me think the last one through, and I'm getting ready to submit it. Okay.
You're not the last. You're not the only one. You got this.
Ooh, somebody's vibrating. That's cool. I thought it was me. I'm sending a few of you messages through the member board, seeing if anyone has time tomorrow. I would be glad to do a quick call, interview somebody.
You can call me.
I could do Wednesday before 11.
Ooh, okay.
You can call me anytime tomorrow. Just don't call me late for dinner.
Oh,
I love to eat.
Hang in there. Thank you all for this. I'm gonna switch this around a little bit.
Aha! I got it.
All right.
I saw the look of triumph, and then I refreshed my screen, and there it was.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right.
Go team.
So,
All right, we're good.
Everyone.
We are good.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
You as well. Thank you for
Bye.
your time.
Night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone.